All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to the audience of our panel discussion on the role of research in innovation. And we're going to talk with my great guests here on how we should be improving the Finnish ecosystem on this subject. With me, I have Johanna Buchert.
Yes.
President and CEO of Luke, and Mika Kukkurainen, partner at Nordic Foodtech VC. And my name is Pontus Trollman. I'm a partner at Voima Ventures. Johanna, if we start with you, can you tell me first and the audience first a bit about yourself and then do present Luke as an organization as well?
Yes. So my name is Johanna Buchert and I'm the VD of Luke. Natural Resource Institute Finland. We are about 1,300 people, and now we are really looking on how to create business out of the upstream of bioeconomy. We are in the primary production, working in different fields of raw material production and processing, and I think we have the potential now to be really, really strong in this ecosystem building. And my background is in VTT, and I have been involved in these spin-off generations for decades.
Fantastic to have as president and CEO of Luke a person with spin-off experience. That's truly exciting. Talk a bit more so that the audience who doesn't necessarily recognize what Luke is about your history, because you have a long history of supporting Finnish industries and innovations. So can you elaborate a bit more so that the audience gets an idea about the sort of history of Luke?
Luke has 100 years history, so I won't go deep into the 100 years, but I would say that we are in the forestry, we are in the agriculture, food value chain, aquaculture, and there are very nice spin-off cases now presented in the hall, which are related, for instance, to aquaculture. Everything comes from nature, bio-based raw materials, how we can valorize them, how we can exploit the waters and the forests and agricultural land for the benefit of Finland and for the business.
Excellent. Thank you, Johanna. Mika, now it's your turn to brag a bit about yourself and Nordic Foodtech VC.
Okay, we are a bit smaller entity compared to Luke. So I'm Mika Kukkurainen, one of the founders at Nordic Foodtech VC. We are the only venture capital fund here in Nordics that is purely focusing on food technology. We are investing in very early stage companies, especially technology companies. So we are not investing in actual food products or brands, but technology that makes the food value chain more sustainable and healthier. So we really believe in science, and we have actually in our portfolio spin-out companies from 10 different universities or research institutes. So we have seen quite a lot of different processes and different methods to spin out.
Sounds great. And of course, at Voima Ventures, we've co-invested with Nordic Foodtech on a handful of cases. So really excited also about this space. Now, today we're of course going to talk in more general terms about spin-off companies. But hey, we have this excellent expertise in nature-based innovation. So let's delve into that topic first. And Johanna, the mic goes to you. Now, on a high level, can you tell a bit what kind of role nature-based innovations can play in the future and what kind of spin-off activities we could be looking at in that area?
During the decades, nature has developed a lot of solutions, and I think mimicking the nature gives us a lot of business opportunities. I always give this example so that what is the best liquid package in the world? It's a berry. All these natural, for instance, barrier materials, we can valorize these from byproducts. It gives a lot of novel systems to the food ecosystem. And also all the biomass has a lot of fantastic components, antiviral components, fibers, textile fibers, with which we can combat the fossil economy. there's a lot of potential there in the bioeconomy.
I agree. Of course, one sort of challenge is that the fossil economy is so huge. Will there be enough raw material from bio-based solutions to sort of do the lion's part in the green transformation, getting us rid of fossil-based solutions? Or how cautious should we be that we're not over-exploiting the natural resources on other fronts?
I think that is a very good point. We need to ensure that we utilize the biomass for most valuable things and try to circulate the biomass. So circular economy is the key with the bioeconomy. So both these have to be done there. But of course, fossil economy, all the products are cheap. But I would say that if we want to combat climate change, we need to reduce the use of fossil-based raw materials. We need to get substitution. For instance, the textile fiber innovations. If we can substitute cotton, which is very environmentally harmful, if we can substitute synthetic fibers, there's huge potential, and that is value added. That is generating added value from the raw material instead of putting the precious raw material to boats and load it somewhere else to be processed. So there's a lot of potential.
It's kind of a tricky equation that on the other hand, we have been exploiting nature as such and the resources that nature is offering. But on the other hand, we haven't been utilizing all the resources, like circulating them and using them again and again in a best possible way. So we have our relationship as humankind with nature is kind of complicated in that sense. And we should take a look more to circular resources and how to utilize them.
I totally agree with you. So I think the key is there.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about innovation, and then let's dwell still a bit on nature and nature-based innovations, what would be the key drivers for new innovations in that area? I'm going to go like back to you, Johanna, on this one. I mean, can we see true disruption in that area, or is there a risk that we will be facing only sort of incremental improvements, which might not be sort of enough in current climate?
I would say that consumers have a very, very strong role there. How do they understand so that they should combat the climate change? They should be utilizing less fossil-based raw materials. So consumer perception, it's the same in the food, it's the same in all bio-based products, so that consumers are the ones that make the decision. That was talked in the morning's panels also. And I think that understanding is something that we really need to increase here in Finland in the system.
Sorry to say, but I don't trust consumers at all.
I was going to ask that you must have a lot of experience in consumer sentiment.
Yeah, I've been in consumer business and in strategy and brand development sectors. So I don't believe that consumers will be ready to change their habits. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to replace some ingredients into food items without consumers even knowing it. So we want to make the products as good as they are today, but changing the content. So supporting consumer behavior and they use cases, we are able to change what they are actually eating.
But I still believe that in the end, consumers will understand that they have to do it. But now we are in the phase that we have to sort of put them to use them and know that these products are equally good and they are better for the environment.
And they will be even better than the current products.
They will be even better, yes.
But can we see consumers also, or voters as consumers? How much do we need political will in getting these innovations out on the market, and how big a role would that sort of regulatory environment play in research institutes like Luke spinning out new companies?
I would say for the regulation first, so that the EU is a master of making regulations. They can make a lot of regulations which affect bioeconomy, for instance. But I think with good regulations, you can somehow direct the consumption to a certain direction and help to pass the high prices of the first round of the products. Because always when you do something which is substituting existing, for instance, fossil-based, the prices are higher.
Yeah, but food is always politics, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about it like the whole day. But it is impossible to understand how come faba beans, if you are buying faba bean-based products from store, are double the price than pig, for example, that are eating the same faba beans because of subsidies in the system. Meat is such, the support for meat is such strong that prices are double compared to land-based products.
Is it due to the European agricultural policy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think now they are in the phase of they are trying to change it. But these regulatory restrictions, they always affect these things. And let's hope that the EU can now be promoting all these greener solutions as they have this industrial Green Deal.
Yeah, but for example, now there has been in this economical situation discussion that plant-based products are losing the market. They are double the price. And consumers are very price conscious today.
Some of them, some are buying.
Yeah, but it's politics.
It is politics, yes.
What about the role of research institutions and universities as a whole? How strategically important does Luke currently see the spin-off business? And are there any changes coming? I definitely get the feel that you are excited about spin-offs. But can you elaborate a bit more what kind of role your research institute wants to have in the future with these spin-offs?
We at Luke, we want to be very active in the spin-off generation business. We are now trying to build these Luke innovations, but that needs legislative changes for the Luke legislation. And we have all these, have the target to increase the research to business funding and try to valorize all the seeds what we are having in-house. We see a lot of potential there within our researchers, but the problem might be that if you are studying natural sciences, you might not be very well aware of business potential. So economics, business, these kind of things, they are not within your studies. And I think that is a drawback in the Finnish educational system, so that business should be taught to students irrespective from which area you come from. I come from engineering part, and there everybody had to learn business to a certain extent, so that you at least you understand it. But in natural sciences, where most of our staff is rising from, it is not so natural, and we are in the phase of getting the understanding and the eagerness to build these growth companies, because Finland needs innovation, research institutes. We have a lot of seeds of innovation, but somebody needs to valorize, to grow them to business. And here we need collaboration with the VC capitalists, VC funders, people who are eager to run the business. And we are in the phase of sort of building that competence at Luke.
Now, can I so that you don't run over too much, I will continue on this subject because Nordic Food Tech has a lot of collaboration with different research institutes and universities. Can I just specifically ask you, how has your experience with working with these different institutes been on sort of their eagerness to spin out innovations? Do we have a general recognition of the strategic importance of spin-offs in Finland and the Nordics, Baltics?
It differs very much, institute by institute. We have companies in Denmark, Sweden, Estonia, and here in Finland, and it varies a lot. The atmosphere when you talk about spinning out to new companies, the attitude is so different in each and every of them. Methods are very different. Each institute wants a different kind of a stake of a company. Some make it even almost impossible to continue with the demand. But I would like to talk about this research to business funding here in Finland. Because I think, and sometimes I see that we have forgotten the great idea of that. It should be from research to business. Now it seems like a safety net for some researchers to stay at the university or research institute like 2 more years or 3 more years with the funding and nothing happens. If we take a look at the number of the share of companies born from research to business funding, how much do actually we see? 20% or how much?
I could continue from that because I also, and we think within our business sort of development group, so that the research to business funding should be fast. So 2 years sort of free time.
Accelerating, yeah.
It should be an accelerator, but then it should be prolonged so that you can pilot and scale it up to these test products. So it's ending too early, but it's a long period where you can just continue as you have done. So it should be sort of more stronger.
And what you can actually do during the research to business project. You cannot establish company, which means you cannot open bank account. And those things take months today to establish a company and open a bank account. And in between the time when the research to business project ends and you can receive the money from VCs, for example, there is a valley of debt.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
So is it really then funding or is it more government funding that's the biggest pain points in setting up startups?
I think we should make strategic choices what comes to research to business funding. So we cannot be the best in the world in every single area. So we should select the areas that we want to be like the best in the world, top class. And towards those directions, we should get more the research to business funding. So we should make strategic choices already when giving out the money to continue this.
I totally agree, if I may, sorry. So these choices should be made in Finland, and that has been the drawback in the Finnish research and development legislation now. So nobody has made any choices. Where wants Finland put its money? Where do we see the future? So selection is very, very hard. It is in the companies, it's hard. It's in the research institutes, it's very hard, but it's on the Finland level, it's really hard.
What about, because every investor always says that the most important thing in startup investing is the team. And how eager do you see that the researchers at Luke are to setting up new spin-offs? And is there growing a culture where the people, the teams want to commercialize innovations? Honestly, my experience tells me that that's not always the case in all universities and research centers.
If I'm honest, I will say that it's a handful of people who have the eagerness. But the plenty of Luke people, they lack. They want to have this research-based, so that always starting with something new, but not going until the end to the business. But we are trying to educate. We are coaching the people, those who have a sort of a tiny hint in their brains, so that would be something. They will be getting coaching, they will be helped all the time, so that they would be developed then. But then, of course, the seeds, we can also try to find the starters, the founders, their co-founders from business-oriented people, which could then take our seeds and grow them to the plants.
How can we help you?
We have to discuss more. And I think that is something that interaction between the VC capitalists and VC funders and research already in the early phases, I think that is needed, because there's a lot bubbling, but we might not be able to understand what is bubbling. So that if we have a strong interaction, we discuss, try to share the ideas in the early phases, 90% might go somewhere in vain, But there might be the 10% that have high potential, and if we can identify them in due time, then there's a lot of business potential.
I agree that we are, of course, investing in people and teams, but especially in deep tech startups, you don't have to have all the capabilities from day one.
Yeah,
Because you are still developing your technology, you are making it better. So maybe it doesn't even make sense to have the right business mind from the day one in the team. There is a time for every new capabilities that we should take in, but don't worry if you don't have those business capabilities when spinning out. I happen to know that there are several people who are interested to join startups from corporates, for example. I did it myself in a way. And we receive phone calls and emails every now and then. Is there something that I could join? Is there something that I could utilize my know-how? So let's not worry if you don't have business capabilities top level when you start. We can bring them in at later stages.
But that is a prerequisite of a research to business project, that they have a commercial champion. So
that's a different thing.
Is it a different thing, and how is it a different thing? And do the participants of those research to business projects always understand that it's a different thing?
How easy it is to get those business champions to the projects, I would ask.
We have a couple of those which have the background on those, and they are there helping the people. But it is not easy if you take the whole staff, so that which are not learned to think in that way.
But if you have in-house that kind of expertise already that could be taken to several teams, for example, the expertise, it doesn't have to be probably team-specific know-how.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, that's a good.
That is good, because that is something that I fear when I sit on these steering groups, are to be steering groups, and I meet the teams, and they quite often misinterpret the role of that commercial champion. So that is perhaps something we need to learn. We've talked about VC collaboration with research institutes. What kind of other types of collaborations should we build in our startup ecosystem, so that we can have more of these science-based innovations?
I would say that we need these business-oriented foundations. I'm reflecting now to Denmark. And there's Bioinnovation Institute. Novo Nordisk is putting heavenly much money on...
They happen to have it.
Of course, because everybody gets obese, so that's why they get money. But the system is, I think, unique, and I really admire that. And I would call for foundations, large foundations in Finland, to be active in this startup generation, prolonging the way or helping the way to get these businesses running. And I think there's a playground for these foundations.
Also, corporates should be more looking towards research. And luckily, I have seen in past 5 years that corporates, at least some of them, are very open to work together with startups and also with research. So if we have any corporates here, please.
Be active.
That is a good point, because actually in recent years, a fairly significant part of, for instance, Nokia's venture capital activities have resulted in profits, so a large part of their profits from venture capital. I would hope that would aspire more corporate VC activities in Finland. Of course, there is always differences in strategic incentives when you talk with corporates. How easy have you, Mika, found that sort of separating the strategic incentives from the startups has been in the early stage?
You mean when corporates are probably investing in companies as startups as well?
Exactly.
We have made it clear from day one that when we are in discussions with corporates, and if they want to co-invest with us, they will invest with same terms as we are investing. No exclusivity at all. And the best ones, they do really understand. They have in their history some disastrous investments that they had some exclusivities and it didn't end well. So startup has to have freedom to operate from those barriers as well. And but happy to say that corporates are really in line with that demand of being with same terms as we are investing.
You of course, Luke works a lot with corporates. That's your sort of core business.
Yeah.
So have you felt that it's sort of easy to make that distinction? What could be something that corporates would commercialize and what would be good for spin-off activities? And can you elaborate perhaps a bit sort of on what type of innovations you would wish to see spun out as startups at Luke?
Maybe for the larger companies, corporates, we more do direct customer work so that we help their businesses. So that is a different sort of business line. And then when we want to generate the startups, then we are very open to how this will be developed. And of course, corporate VCs can be very active there, equally as any other who wants to develop them further. But there are sort of two different business lines in our activities. We see that we get the startups running, and we hope that Luke would be a mother of several startups in the future. That is our vision. And then, of course, we want to help the current corporates to get their businesses better. So both.
But if we kind of would want to have now a huge headline in tomorrow's Helsingin Sanomat that Johanna Buchert said Luke will spin out. Do you have like some big hairy vision of your spin-off activity in kind of the coming decade? How important of a role will that
You mean
play
money-wise from our budget?
Well, or company-wise or impact-wise?
No, impact, of course, we want to get, because I see that the upstream of bioeconomy, as we were talking before we came here, so that is very important, and I see a lot of startup potential there. So I would love to see tens of spin-offs rising from Luke in the future. I think we are now less than 5, what we are now, at least we are having here. But I would say that that area is sort of an area where it has been traditionally unsexy, and all the startups have gone to the sexy side, but I would now demand that go to the unsexy side, upstream of bioeconomy. There's a lot. And I think you agreed with me, at least you pretended very nicely.
Yeah, I would like to end this impact dreaming, because impact happens only when business is up and running. But research institutes and universities, they are sort of dreaming about impact. They are talking about it,
Yeah.
but impact becomes real when there is real business and you make the change. For example, in our case, in the food value chain. Real change makes the impact.
Mika, I mean, to the audience, there are 2 venture capitalists here on the stage. So yes, and I think that's a very, very important distinction, that if we want to see impact happen supported by the likes of me and Mika, then the business component really has to be there. And of course, it is up to research institutes like Luke to define then which innovations does have that business potential. Sometimes I fear that sort of the best business potential cases goes to corporates and the others goes to spin-offs. So how are you going to make sure that the best business potential is spun out to startups at Luke?
I would say that our target is to increase and improve the Finnish national economy. Whether that comes from the existing companies and whether we can increase their competitiveness, that's good. That's giving us impact. And the other route is to generate the growth companies. So I can't distinguish so that which route would be the major. But we want that Oy Finland AB is having a good national economy through the bioeconomy, through the biomass, what we have in plenty here. But how can we get business and added value out of that? I think that is the key.
Yeah, and I have to say that I believe that the added value comes when you have specific resources for the tasks, clear objectives, and then you have a reward as well. And unfortunately, in corporates, there are hundreds of other projects going on as well. So there is very seldom like targeted resources, clear objectives, and clear rewards. And that can happen in startups. And that's why we should spin them out.
Both routes are needed, I would say, but startups, we want to increase that.
Definitely, and like you said, would it make upstreaming startups sexy again?
Yeah.
That's a good ending for a panel discussion. Thank you very much. It has been my pleasure to moderate this event. So I hope your audience got some good insights from this, and we will probably be here in the Nordeep in the future as well. So come pull us by our sleeves if you want to continue discussion. Thank you.